Ebusiafo native I daily update TV so hana ba benya training no say cause we asa finding na yes us and the kana ba need no book kwan so na wa subscribe my say na benya news bi na o bi a obenya notification of phone so ba be share phone so betimi so ahye amo adam for na news so nya bi ahye yes mengo street a major issue tokwa bi asipa jejerenche bi ama ya pai obi ani anya asem keto mo je pram na plaster data tani so no ya rational hospital anya asem keto election grounds in say na NPP for omo parliamentary no parliamentary primaries na AC and also omo na just omo chamo na je ya kwa me ni ba kwa pa ya anya asem keto je say is the other hospital is oji ayarehwe and our be news trains is here abetom say was emeti for mamutesa news no if you come in good things in be a course ye ba near the come no abane
for you. But as I've been saying, we've just been joined by the Director of Elections of the party. And if you're just joining us, this is your election headquarters and it's brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity. We started today.
Him and decided to beat him. That's why he suffered those kind of injuries. But the camp of Likee Tv Be was saying, if even yesterday at dawn or late in the night this could happen, then it means they are not free to contest in this election. Therefore, they are calling on the police and the electoral commission, if possible, to call off the election so that they can reschedule a day and do the voting. But the camp of Stephen Jalula was saying they are for peace and they always remain peaceful. For that matter, whatever happens should be a bygone and they should concentrate on the elections and make sure the election come off today. So as it stands now, there are two different kind of views as to whether the elections will come up or it will be suspended there unless the police and the electoral commission have to decide. But I'm very confident that the elections will come up because the electoral commission has not said anything. The police are also saying they are firmly on the ground and they will not allow anyone to cause mayhem during the day of the election. So this is basically what I can report from ßurවා τ, where two contestants are taking part in the election.
Okay, and Daniel, let's track back a bit. So this was a meeting that had been called by Stephen Jalula's main challenger. In fact, only two of them, Mr. Garba. And this gentleman, as we see on your screens, we'll hear him pretty shortly, appear there. And it's suspected that he may have been planted by Stephen Jalula's team.
That is what he said. And according to him, he was there to look for his brother. But when he doesn't, because he doesn't belong to the Likee Tv Be camp, they asked him to move away. But he resisted. That was what resulted into the misunderstanding that got him injured. But he was also saying he was not there for information, but rather he was there to call his brother.
I see. Stay with me. Let's listen a bit to what he's been saying. And I believe, as you can see him there, he's already receiving treatment at the hospital.
What do mommy see me? Mammy and one, we show them done, usually not in Sabon, money, and the use of any bounty, and now Lucha, and now Omoba Abuguso. And she, Mamma is soon ever assuming, and I mean, a shake the Ghana, Muna talking so. Jamun Papa now.
Individual there who has been assaulted, as you can see on your screens. And if you're listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, you see a gentleman who's seated in what appears to be a hospital. And my colleague will confirm that for us pretty shortly, with plasters on the face, looks visibly beating with the scars of that particular incident showing. He had significant plaster on the face. But Daniel, let me ask you this. So we saw him there seated. I believe that is a hospital. That's where he went for treatment.
Yes, that is the Abase Health Center, where there's elections are ongoing, or when elections, about the health center.
Health center. And you see him there with what appears to be a cut over his, just below his right eye, and a cut on the lip, and that both of them had plasters on it. And I want to get a sense of what the police have been saying. Have anybody been arrested?
Well, when I got to the police station, I heard one person had been arrested, but later has been released because the tension that was mounting there, maybe if he's not been released, it will tend to different things. But he's been cautioned and released to go and report this morning because the way the tension was going at the police station, they have to at least be tactical and make sure they put the whole tension under control. So for now, I would say there is nobody at the police cells or at the police custody based on what happened yesterday. But I learned one person has been arrested, after which the two parties have been talked to, especially Stephen Jalula, who is the Deputy Minister of Road and Highways, was called on phone to report what happened to him, and Alhaji Idris Garba, who is also one of the candidates, he was in the police station personally yesterday before he leaves the venue or the police station at Abase to the district capital, that is Prime. He needs to be escorted to the place because the way and manner the tensions were going up, he needs to be protected. So the police commander or the in charge, the one who was in charge, who was at post, together with the SWAT team and the SDU, have to escort he and his team to Prime so that this morning they bring them back again to the venue for the voting. So I would say nobody has been arrested now, and they are doing everything possible to make sure they calm nets down for the elections to take place.
You've been in this constituency, in a lead
constituency through that particular end, which should be easy for that to happen. But I'm also not disputing the fact that the party can take a decision that all of you in this lecture area should meet here, take the bus, and go and vote.
That's highly unlikely, I think. But you, of course,
or even the party can sanction that candidates can actually put buses there for people to go and vote. I think the campaign theory has been bastardized and loopholes exploited. It has been, first, it was, let's put them in a hotel because they are coming from afar. Then somebody pays for it. Secondly, people do birthday parties. Remember, some time ago, people did their birthday party the day, even though they were not born on that day. They did a birthday party the day before the election, and right from the hotel, you go straight to go and vote. Now, the newest addition is that let's go and do some
morning
devotion. How many people, serious politicians, go to morning devotion the morning of their election?
But they are religious.
No. Think about it deeply.
You do nothing without God opening the door for
against you, and you are rather going to vote early going to pray about.
Oh, but that's why when you're going to a battle, you pray.
No. If you're going, see, this is
we know that
strategy to camp.
Yes. I mean, unless we want to pretend about it. Yeah.
Politicians will do a lot of things. A bit about the busing. Where I think it would be highly unlikely that a party would do that is that, and any of the candidates would actually flag that and said, I can't accept this. Why? Because if the party then says, we're bringing all of these people...
You have to give me a pause. Sure. Again, for the benefit of our radio audience, we on our screens right now, and if you're not watching Joy News on YouTube, on Facebook, you're missing. You can see us and watching nearly shoulder to shoulder.
Marking.
Yeah, nearly shoulder to shoulder with Rafa Japan, the brother of Kennedy Japan. And I bet you can cut the tension between these two gentlemen with a knife right now. Asenso is on his phone. Rav has his hands behind him. And each time he'll look to the floor and raise his head. But we are attempting to cut that tension with a knife. And we are succeeding in doing so because it is very obvious that something is really brewing. It's been heavily acrimonious going into this, and they have to stand shoulder to shoulder, literally within inches of each other.
Evans, and let me just say this, as one who's contested elections before, Raymond has been campaign manager before. On the day of the election, you will know whether you've lost or not. So one of them knows the outcome.
It's not going well.
One of them would know the outcome of the election. But let me make the point. I think it's highly unlikely, that a party would actually, and once we get the director of elections would ask him this, it's highly unlikely that a party would actually bus people in the metro mass transit. And we've seen on our screens the numbers. This could only be a candidate getting people to come and vote, or people deciding, and there's the other point. I mean, you can have, supporters of a particular candidate deciding that they will converge at a place and get a bus and come to the constituency. So that's part of the issue.
Is it also possible that the people who are joining the Member of Parliament to go into this devotion have to be transported from where
Highly
the
possible.
was?
Highly possible.
Straight to, because...
And that amounts to camping.
No, how would it be so?
It amounts to camping because
their religious rights cannot be suspended on the day of it.
That's exactly what I was making to you earlier.
But at that material moment...
How do you stop them from going to pray in the morning?
No, nobody has said don't go and pray. But how do you follow the Member of Parliament to go?
No. It's the man went to pray. The man went to pray, and they all have the same religious beliefs, and so they converge in a church to pray.
That would amount to camping for me.
Well, maybe we'll get clarity on that particular point.
Yeah, I mean, Evans Demako is the director of elections to join us shortly.
Loopholes people exploit. And I actually think that we've done politics for some time, and the decency required. If the directive is that do not camp anybody, don't use a church service as a claim. Don't use a party as a claim. Don't use overnight staying and keeping them active on the ground.
And all of that.
Yes, I mean, at some point, we should be more decent about this thing. Don't camp them in your house in the name of they are coming from afar. That kind of conversation defeats the purpose for engaging in these kind of elections. And it affects the credibility of the poll and how you should have won in the first place. And we all know what happens at these camps. They are not sitting there to teach them about elections. No. They basically do them with the intention of influencing their votes or maintaining the influence that they've already given. So if the fear is that maybe Evans is likely to increase the amount of money I've already given, when I keep them at home, I could control that process. And they don't camp everybody, because sometimes you can't camp the thousands that are supposed to be there. What they do is select a core that can influence the votes, or from a grouping that's more likely to change their minds along the line. Because by now, if you break every constituency, I know the sections that will be voting in one way or the other. Let me tell you one thing that happened in Baltimore that was interesting. When the president went there to inaugurate that particular library, that Asenso did, Ralph knew that that library was situated in Asenso's, what they call the stronghold. Do you know what he said about it? He said he even did it at the wrong place. And that place is not a place you put a library, because the kids that are supposed to, we do not access that place because of the kind of dynamics there. Intentionally downplaying the impact of it, because he knew that people were not his people in the first place. Yeah. So let's be fair about how we go about these things. And when you have resources, especially when you are in government and you appear to be the one putting up all of this stuff, it casts a very bad light even on government, because some of these things were not done previously by the same candidate.
Yeah, and that's a very important point indeed. Listen, this is our special coverage of the NPP parliamentary primary. Before we wrap up, we'll touch base very quickly with a lot more of our correspondents across the country. We're going to be in the eastern region, where there are some real fascinating contests there. Kujo Ponkoma's constituency, Fuasa Yerebi is one that we are watching. We are watching, obviously, Kriapim South. I mean, that is not happening today.
We have to go to Tano North.
Tano North. We are going to go to Tano. We're going to go to Tano North, where you have the Gideon Wako, the Vice President's Director of Policy, and Frida Prempe, who is the Minister for Sanitation. Tano North, we'll get Tano North update for you before we wrap up and hand over to Newz File. We'll also bring you reports from Ashanti region has so many of the contests. Adansia Sokwa, Asante Central. I'm also looking to look at the constituency of the Deputy Finance Minister, who is also coming. We'll go to the Central region. How Akumsing's constituency is also going to be very interesting to watch. We'll go and to Sekondi and see how our friend and colleague is Bobo, not friend and colleague, but a good friend of ours, Bobo, who is the Deputy Energy Minister, how he's faring there.
Most importantly, in the Western region, how the Minister of Public Enterprises, Joseph Kujo, is faring. He has a keen contest.
We want to touch base very quickly, briefly, in all these areas, so we can wrap up.
Deputy Mines and Energy, what they call it?
Lands and
Natural Resources, that's Duka, Miracle Duka, in Takwa Swayam. We'll check that.
For near for winning news about to just meet if I permasem no mamotisa news we are no she pan him say ya pa kwanani no okasaka krawo matches na ya rehosama ochichem ni ntia santo kwanchi chincheni si wo election grounds na nyasam keto aches no na be latest news a e wo hwa nyasam keto ese trend mi say me wuti eye odu na yɛde abrɛ mu sesei no wɔanya adwenkyerɛ kakra wɔfa adwenkyerɛ no ba comment section afei nso bɛtumi so ahyɛ ma wadamfo so anya bi ahwɛ subscribe your minds na ɛbɛyɛ ɛnyɛ news bi a wobɛnya latest ni bi anaasɛ training news a ɛkɔ so sesei no na wanya bi ɛwɔ phone so na wabɛhwɛ wobɛtumi nso comment section hɔ yɛni wobɛtumi ahyɛ ama wadamfo so no ɛne wɔ live so anya bi ahwɛ ɛtifo ha na ɛdi mu obi bia ɛyɛsi